We begin the newscast with Wion's continuous coverage of the U.S. midterm polls 2018. It was touted as a referendum of his presidency, and Donald Trump has managed to keep his party's reputation intact. The GOP has not only retained the Senate but has actually gained a round. But it's not all good news for Donald Trump. The Democrats did manage to wrest control of the House of Representatives, and Democrats picked up at least 10 Republican-held seats as they move closer to winning control of the U.S. House of Representatives. House Minority Leader, a Democrat, celebrated her victory in this election. Nancy Pelosi said Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives will use their majority to pursue a bipartisan agenda for the country. Pelosi is expected to seek the top job of House Speaker, a post she held for 4 years beginning in 2007.
About restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration. It's about stopping the GOP and Mitch McConnell's assaults on Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, and the health care of 130 million Americans living with pre-existing medical conditions. Let's hear it more for pre-existing medical conditions. It's about ending wealthy special interest free reign over Washington, but more than anything, it's about what a new Democratic majority will mean in the lives of hardworking Americans.
But that was not going to derail Donald Trump's victory run. The United States president took to Twitter to thank America for what he called a tremendous success. It was an election of many firsts, like Massachusetts elected Ayanna Pressley, the first black congresswoman from the state. Ayanna Pressley won the state's 7th district seat. Pressley has also made history by becoming the first black woman to serve the Boston City Council.
I am so honored and humbled to share both the ballot and the stage with the many visionary, bold women who have raised their hand to run for public office. None of us ran to make history. We ran to make change. However, the historical significance of this evening is not lost on me. The significance of history is not lost on me. And no matter how small we felt at times in community and society at large, my mother made sure I knew that when we walked into that voting booth and we pulled that curtain, that we were powerful. We are standing in our power. The same power my mother told me we had, the same power that compelled me to raise my hand and to not ask permission to lead.
So it's a mixed bag for President Donald Trump. Not only has he managed to retain the Senate for the Republicans, but they have actually gained ground. But the lower house, or the House of Representatives, has been taken over by the Democrats. So what do the results mean for President Trump? Retaining the Senate is a big boost for the conservative legislative agenda of the Republicans. They will focus on putting as many conservative judges on the federal bench. They have already confirmed a record number of Trump-appointed judges in the last 2 years, and that will continue. Republicans can also block initiatives passed by the House by Democrats. They will try hard to stall and block just because they have the power to do so. The GOP, or the Grand Old Party, will also renew efforts to repeal Obamacare, the healthcare legislation they have been against since they came to power. Riding high on this victory, Trump will renew efforts to build the $25 billion Mexico wall and further tighten immigration laws, a major issue on which this election was fought. Republicans have retained the Senate, but they will now have to face a gridlocked Capitol Hill for the next 2 years. As the Democrats gain control of the House of Representatives, it allows them to open investigation into Trump's finances, businesses or tax returns. It also allows them to probe the Russia election meddling charge more aggressively against Trump and his government. Democrats can now block Trump's conservative legislative agenda Even routine spending bills will become a bitter fight between the two chambers. And with majority in the lower house, the Democrats will now have a solid footing to censure Trump. Now, a record number of women were up for election this time around. 185 women contested the elections on the Democratic ticket, 75 of whom have won so far. 52 women contested the elections on the Republican ticket, and 12 of them won so far. 87 out of the total of 237 women have won. That's a big number. And here's an analysis on the role women played this midterm from earlier today.
One of the things you wanted to talk about tonight that we haven't had a chance to really talk about is you've been tracking the performance of women tonight. What's your view?
It's pretty extraordinary. We already saw a record number of women running for office in general. You had 276 women running for House, Senate, and governor races. And the success rate has been pretty remarkable for the House of Representatives, at least. At one point, you had 10 out of 14 seats that flipped were women. A lot of these women were in suburban areas, which were districts that Republicans knew they were going to have difficulty with because independents were breaking for Democrats because they're not happy with the tone and tenor of the Trump administration. And many of these women have won in these districts and taken out some pretty significant Republican incumbents in places like Texas, in places like Pennsylvania. 3 out of the 4 seats that were won in Pennsylvania were won by women. Oklahoma City, which was a race that even George earlier said that it wasn't on the map, wasn't on the radar, we weren't paying attention to it. That was a shocker, where someone in Oklahoma City, another suburban area, woman Democrat won. So Kendra Horn. So I think that's pretty remarkable in a lot of ways because the gender gap was pretty significant also. College-educated women voted Republican last time. This time, 20% Democrat. That is an unbelievable gender gap. Independents, in general, Trump won them 4%. This time, 12% more went to Democrats. So this is going to be a dynamic, I think, that's going to be problematic moving forward for the Trump administration as they go into the re-elect in 2020. What do they do about these suburban districts? And definitely for the Republican Party, they're going to have a heart-to-heart about what they're going to do about women and independents.